Alright, get ready for the most beautiful cutscene ever. Slap the logo right on it. Come on. What?
I just did collisions on and off. What? The condominium? Wait, I'm gonna do this. Is this hydrant really T-posing on me right now? Look at this hydrant.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the OPSEAT Videopodcast. I'm your host, Jude Play, the social media director for OPSEAT. We created this podcast to introduce you to successful gamers who have used various strategies to build personal brands and make profit with them. Please make sure to like and subscribe wherever you enjoy your live streams or your podcast. Today, we are joined by Twitch partner and streamer, Smirky. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's absolutely wonderful to have you here. And 2019 is about halfway done. How have things been going for you?
Man, things have been pretty crazy in the first half of 2019. I'd say it's been pretty busy, but it's been a lot of fun for sure. 2019's been great.
It has certainly been a good year. For those of you who may not know, what would most people recognize you or the name Smirky for?
Yeah, so basically, to put my Twitch channel in a nutshell, I stream a bunch of like interactive multiplayer games, and I kind of tailor my audience to all ages, so it's kind of family friendly in a sense, so everyone can be like involved. My name gets associated a lot with a game known as ToonTown. It's not really well known. In fact, sometimes you might look in the directory and there's barely anyone actually streaming the game. But I started streaming ToonTown many years ago and grew my community that way. So a lot of people, when they see my name, they'll think, oh, hey, that's the ToonTown guy.
And with ToonTown, like bringing it up, ToonTown, they had to they brought it back from life, basically. Could you tell us a little bit more about ToonTown?
So basically what ToonTown is, the concept of it is that you have toons that are running around, and ToonTown is like a very happy, wacky, silly, cartoony kind of world. And evil corporate robot cogs are trying to take over the town for their corporate business needs. But of course they can't take a joke, so you use an arsenal of gags basically to like fight them back and save the town. Basically, ToonTown was a game that was originally a Disney MMORPG. Disney had 4 MMOs back in the day. They had Pixie Hollows, Pirates of the Caribbean Online, they had Club Penguin, and then they also had ToonTown. And the game was up for about 10 years, and then it shut down in 2013. But about a month later, some of the fans of the game, they decided they didn't want ToonTown and the community to die off. So what they actually did is they created the first private server for ToonTown, and it's known as ToonTown Rewritten. So it's a private server. It's nonprofit. They don't make any money off of it. The whole game is free to play. And it's been up since October 2013 when it was in alpha testing. And I've kind of been there every step of the way since. I alpha tested, beta tested, and now the game is publicly launched. Trying to think of some of the numbers. There's, I think, like 1.4 million registered users on the private server. But there's currently, as of right now, about 2,000 plus concurrent players at any given time playing the game, especially like during the day. So there's still like it's a very small, tight knit community, but it's also like a lot of people still play it. And that's kind of basically what ToonTown is. Former Disney MMO brought back to life as a private server. And yeah, I've just been streaming a bunch of it.
And then being that it was an MMO, was it upsetting that everything had to go to a private server and you had to redo everything, or was it more upsetting that Disney dropped it?
I think, well, for me, I think for me personally, it was more upsetting that Disney did drop it because it was a beloved game, especially in my childhood, that I played for several years, and I won like contests, and I was so invested in it, and then it was really sad to kind of see it go away. I'm notoriously known for uploading a YouTube video as soon as basically Disney announced that the game was closing. And I basically sat there and cried about the fact that the game was closing, and it went viral because not because like I uploaded it because I wanted people to know about the fact that Toontown was closing at the time, but it went viral because I was crying on a YouTube video. But it was yeah, really sad for me. And then I was really excited when it was actually being brought back to life as a private server, because at the time nobody was, like nobody knew what to do, because the future of Toontown was just like, oh, well, it's gone now. It's like, you have like your favorite video game and it gets taken away. Like, what do you do? That's kind of what Toontown was like before the private servers came out. So when it did get announced, a lot of people were really excited about it.
Yeah. And I actually watched the video, and I thought your response to it on your YouTube channel was absolutely brilliant. Where you actually, you kind of memed the viral video that went out there, where it was a mashup of like amazing song and then your video where you were crying. I thought that was 200 IQ right there, as Twitch chat might say. But taking a step back for a moment, when and how did you first start playing video games in general?
Yeah, man, I definitely tend to think back a lot towards like when I started content creation, but thinking back to when I started playing video games, like in general, probably like 2004, 2005 on like my Game Boy, playing Pokemon Emerald and stuff like that, and playing like Ratchet and Clank on the PS2 with my sister all the time. Like just playing a mixture of like console games and handheld games, and also online games. One of the first online games I did get into was Toontown. I remember my sister kind of discovered it first, like through television ads, because Disney ran a lot of ads for Toontown back in the day. And we kind of found the website that way, and we shared like one singular free account before I kind of got my own account as well. But I mean, gaming in general, like that was what I kind of grew up with. Toontown, Pokemon, like Mario, Sonic, stuff like that. And then, I kind of just got into content creation when I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos of other people like making their content. I did watch a lot of what people were doing with Toontown back in the day. And just like seeing people talk about like strategies or ranting about things that they didn't like about the game. I definitely like thought it was really cool, and I kind of wanted to get into that realm.
Yeah, definitely. You've been on YouTube for years and years. I mean, it's 2019 now. We just, we asked how it's going for you, but you started this journey on YouTube, back in 2012, over 7 years ago. Yeah. How old were you then when you like started uploading your first video, and how did that go?
Yeah, I was, I mean, basically it's one of those situations where as soon as I turned 13 and I was able to actually like create a YouTube account, like I definitely hopped on that bus and just sat there with crappy microphone and crappy laptop, and just sat there and started recording videos and stuff. And really that was actually also when I did my first live stream, because my first live stream was on YouTube. I originally was streaming on YouTube before I started on Twitch back in 2012. And Google had like a thing where you could do like Google Hangouts on air, where basically you could stream for your YouTube audience. And So YouTube isn't only how I started getting into content creation or videos in general.
Yeah.
It's also how I got into streaming. And nowadays, like jumping just a little ahead for a moment, nowadays I haven't really made many YouTube videos. I upload like every now and then, but I'm trying to figure out ways to kind of diversify my brand again to where I balance both Twitch and YouTube. But definitely, it's definitely different now than it was then, because back then I did all my streams on YouTube for like, at first it was just like a hobby, just for the heck of it. This 13-year-old kid just wanting to share my experiences with other people and have fun. And it started with like 5 to 10 people. And then suddenly it kept going and going, and people started watching, and suddenly like every single stream I was doing had like 100 viewers or more. And it was a pretty fun, crazy, unexpected time for me, and kind of kick-started up my whole like streaming journey.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, especially from where you started, where you just wanting to share that experience, but you're able to share that experience with 15,000 YouTube subscribers and 14,000 followers on Twitch. So from then to now, it's absolutely incredible how you've kind of grown this amazing community. And one thing that we respect about it at OPSEAT is it's a very inviting, open, and very positive experience for everybody. When did you decide that, or maybe it was the game that you were playing, ToonTown, when did you decide that you wanted it to be an inviting and open community?
When did I decide that I wanted ToonTown to be an inviting and open community?
Well, your stream and your videos, was it always something that like just from the very beginning you just wanted to like make sure people just felt welcome?
Yeah. I mean, from the very beginning, it was just kind of just kind of figuring things out, especially on YouTube, just like trying to figure things out. But then ultimately, I just kind of started focusing on just being kind and being myself, and just like opening up about who I am and letting people know that it's okay to talk about what's on their minds. I definitely base my community on positivity and inclusion and being authentic, and definitely a nice, like, welcoming atmosphere, like you mentioned. And it definitely carried over from those streams on YouTube into Twitch. I mean, I basically, I kind of attribute some success on Twitch to the foundation I had on YouTube, even though I did build my Twitch from the ground up. But I definitely started building and cultivating this community on YouTube with the idea of positivity and inclusion and authenticity.
And this cultivation of the positivity and authenticity has truly fostered a loving community. That, I mean, recently you did a fundraiser for St. Jude Play Live, the event on Twitch, where content creators come together and they help kind of divert the cost that St. Jude amasses every day. And your community surpassed, some of your first goals, where you raised $10,000, which is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. How did attending the event go for you?
And you're referring to the summit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So the St. Jude Play Live initiative, that I think it started around 2015 or 2016 or something like that. I didn't get involved with St. Jude Play Live until 2018, when I heard about it through like other streamers raising money for St. Jude. And that's when I first started raising money for St. Jude. I got invited to the St. Jude Summit this year based on what we did last year in 2018. We raised over $1,400 in 2018 when I first started streaming throughout the month of May for St. Jude. And then I went to the summit, and it was honestly such a life-changing experience. Like, words can't really describe how it was, because like, it's one thing to like hear about St. Jude's mission to make sure that no child should ever have to die in the dawn of light from childhood cancer, and see the promotional footage of the hospital. But it's a whole nother thing to like go there in person and walk through the hallways and see the smiles on the kids' faces. And it ultimately just made me feel like a part of the bigger St. Jude family. And I mean, truly, it was life-changing, and I definitely want to try to get more involved with the event. I'm hoping to definitely go back and, maybe next year or the years to come. And I definitely want to experience it with the people that I did experience it with at the summit. And I want to see more people raising money and experiencing what we did at the summit. Not raise money just to go to the summit, but raise money ultimately to make sure that, again, no child ever has to die of childhood cancer, because what St. Jude does is incredible beyond words. And to know that we can take our passion of streaming games or not even just streaming games, but just streaming on Twitch in general, using our platforms to support the greater good. It definitely inspires me to do more for charity in the future. And St. Jude is definitely like the probably primary charity for me personally, because it's just such a great organization. And it was so I was shocked that we not only reached our original $5,000 goal, but we pretty much doubled it. It was just,
it's incredible.
insane.
Like you said, it's insane. It's absolutely incredible. And realistically, it's really inspiring that, a lot of people realize that they can impact other people's lives, through gaming. And recently you were actually and one of the newspapers around your area actually decided to put you in there. Do you want to talk about your first time being in a newspaper and a little bit about your story?
Yeah. So I'm backtracking just a little bit. So I am a student at the University of North Texas here in like the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I'm a communication studies major, minoring in music. I'm only just now going into my sophomore year, so I'm still very new, and I'm definitely very young. I just turned 20 not too long ago. So I'm definitely a younger creator. I reached out to my university's like news kind of like, I guess, website. Basically, I kind of sent an email and I'm like, hey, I think this would be cool to kind of share with people in the area and share with the community. Like, just a random email. Do you want to cover the story? And they got back to me and they were really excited. And I've been working with them on covering the story of what we did for St. Jude as it was happening. So we were still fundraising as we were beginning to cover the story. So my university posted about it, and I did a little photo shoot with them as well. So they posted about it on their social medias. So the like overall campus like community got to know about what we were doing. And then they reached out to local news outlets here in the Dallas area. So yeah, just very recently, one of the newspapers published about our story in their newspaper, and there's a photo of me holding a I Love St. Jude sign. And it just talks about my story with having skin cancer in 2017. I had a basal cell carcinoma, and it's basically one of the most common forms of skin cancer. It's easily treatable. It's like it was like right here on my face. I have like a bit of a scar right here. Actually, I don't know if the podcast can really see it, but my skin is like sensitive and everything, and I'm prone to having it again in the future, even though I'm already so young. So the story kind of talks about that and how I used my platform to fight back for the greater good. Because even though my skin cancer was easily treatable, the kids at St. Jude, they don't have it off as easy, having to deal with acute lymphoblastic leukemia and, just a bunch of other like life-threatening cancers that I couldn't imagine in my childhood. We just kind of talked about that, and, the university is definitely proud of it. The community's proud of it. Multiple news outlets have kind of posted about it. So it's pretty exciting to kind of get that press. I mean, I kind of have this thing where I'm like, man, is that like really me? Like, do I really deserve it? Imposter syndrome. But I totally don't need to worry about that, because like, you know, ultimately, like, that's not just like me being featured. That's like the greater community being featured. Like, I'm not the one that raised $10,000 for St. Jude. It's overall the greater community that pitched in together to make that possible. And it's kind of crazy that we work together, and it's not even just my community. Like, every single creator that worked together to reach the overall goal, I think, for the St. Jude initiative this year was $2 million. And we collectively, as multiple communities came together, everyone raised over $2.1 million through St. Jude Play Live. And a lot of people might have heard about how Dr. Lupo raised almost $1 million for GuardianCon for St. Jude. So now there's so many creators out there that are beginning to understand the impact of how their platform can really make a difference. It doesn't matter how much money you're raising. It's the fact that you want to put in the effort to raise that money in the first place is incredible. And we need more people to do that. So I figured by reaching out to my university and having them potentially cover the story, which I'm very glad they did, we could get some more awareness, not only for like St. Jude as a whole, but for Twitch, for, I guess, of course, my community, but more importantly, the streaming community, and what gaming can do, you know, kind of breaking some stereotypes. Like, you can use gaming for the greater good.
Absolutely.
And it's, you know, hopefully that kind of comes off as an example, and what you're seeing in the news with, again, Lupo and everyone else raising money is just, it's incredible, really. And definitely wants me, or it inspires me to like raise more in the future.
It's truly, you know, all of us here at OPSEAT, and even myself, like, we just nothing but respect from all of us. And really, it's amazing what the entire community is doing. Now, for some people who are kind of wanting to jump into this journey, whether they either want to start streaming or they have, you know, bigger goals like being able to change lives or impact them in the future, what would you say would be like some of your favorite tips to give new creators, whether you're young or old? You know, I know it's amazing that you're doing everything that you're doing before you're even 21. It's really cool while you're still in school and everything. But what are some tips that you might have for the community that might want to start doing what you do?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I definitely don't give myself enough credit for what I've done at such a young age. It's like, I keep forgetting how truly incredible it is. And
you should. A lot of people even like they would go to school to learn how to do, you know, anything, even like networking on social media like you do, or just like developing communities. Like, that's stuff people finish school for, you know? Pretty cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, like, I definitely know that the streaming space is definitely, it seems discouraging to new creators, especially if you look at a lot of creators that do have a bunch of success, and you wonder how you could get to that point. And I mean, yes, I started on YouTube in 2012, moved to Twitch in 2016, and I've been streaming pretty much at this point. I don't remember the exact date, but it's been about 7 years that I've been streaming total. And ultimately, like, what it comes down to for me is just kind of cultivating my brand, how like I want my own brand to be, just like being myself. And ultimately, you know, like, do you want your vibe to be like really hype and energetic, or do you want it to be really chill and comforting? Like, there's so many different unique things that you can do as a creator. So ultimately, it's important to, you know, sit down and discover what is, you know, what could make you different, what can make you unique, because you have to pitch yourself as a creator amongst this giant sea of, you know, millions of creators. It's very difficult. But it's also very rewarding. So, I mean, I, for one, never thought I would receive Twitch partnership and all these opportunities that I've received over time. And it was a grind. So be prepared for a grind, but enjoy the experience. Don't get too caught up in the numbers like I sometimes still find myself doing. Just enjoy the experience, focus on cultivating that niche and that community, and ultimately, like, we are our own CEOs. You can basically create anything you want to through the power of social media, multimedia, and on live streaming platforms like Twitch. There's so many undiscovered avenues that people just haven't really discovered yet. Like, discoverability can be difficult, but ultimately, like, it just comes down to what you can do as a creator that stands out and makes you unique. And another tip that comes to mind when it comes to growing, get involved in other communities. Like, go into your favorite streamer's chat and start talking to people. Make friends that way, and then have them come to your streams. Like, ultimately, like, I still go into other people's chats and I will just sit there and talk to people, because I mean, we're all human beings at the end of the day. Like, a check mark doesn't really mean you're superior or anything. Like, I realized when I met Dr. Lupo and a bunch of the other creators at the St. Jude Summit, like, we're all just human beings. Yes, we're content creators, but we're all human beings. Don't focus on the numbers. Get involved on whatever platform you're using. Get involved with other communities, and represent yourself the way that you want other people to see you. Branding is just so important. So, I mean, I could talk about this for hours probably.
Definitely. I think it's extremely important to hone in on who you want to be and who you are. I think one thing with Twitch is just to really just develop yourself as your personality, not what everybody wants you to be. And eventually that will draw people in. And I think it's your positive personality that really brings people to latch onto you, which is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you. It's definitely not like easy by a long shot. Like, I've had days where there's a lot of people watching me, and I have days where there's not many people watching me at all. But ultimately, you have to persevere through the good days and the bad days, and just keep doing what you do best. Like, there's no need to like copy the personality of someone else, like, because then you're being inauthentic and you're not being true to your brand and true to your community. Because I mean, ultimately, you'll start cultivating that community, and then you'll know your community best. So it's just like, it takes time. For me, it didn't happen overnight. It took literally many years to get the opportunities that I have now, and to get to a point where I can start looking at other opportunities too. It's I definitely didn't think I would travel on an airplane alone and go to conventions and meet other streamers and do all the stuff I've been able to do at such a young age. But it just comes down to being yourself and cultivating the community and the brand that you really want to cultivate. And there's no like wrong way to do it either. There's multiple ways to do it. I literally have friends that are so successful because they have a bunch of things flying around their screens, and they're like super hype all the time, and screaming for every new sub. And then I have people that I have friends that they're very chill and lax, and they just have like a very nice atmosphere. And there's so many ways you can develop yourself, and like there's just so many like things you could do. So don't limit yourself. Like, keep trying new things, because you never know what might happen.
Exactly. And I mean, you've been doing this for so long, and I don't think anybody could really put it better. But over the years, there are bound to be things that don't really go the way you had hoped. If you don't mind sharing, what's been your biggest or most memorable learning experience that kind of got in your path as an online personality?
Honestly, I kind of feel like, just the other day I was kind of tweeting about how I have like a bunch of doubts as a creator. Like, yes, I've done all this stuff, but I still have days where I feel so, down, and I'm not doing enough, and I like I could be doing more, and all these things. And we are our own worst critics, especially as content creators, because we have to persevere through the good and the bad, and we often will drive ourselves towards not so positive places. Like, I definitely acknowledge that I have times whenever I'm not in a good mood, and sometimes I just like to sit on stream and talk about it with whoever's watching, and start a conversation about it. So, I mean, I've definitely had my moments where I've definitely not, I don't know, been the best critic of myself. So I don't know. I feel like the way to answer that question is just that I feel like the only roadblocks that I've really experienced are, roadblocks that I'm setting down myself. I can't really think of any specific event that necessarily served as a roadblock, other than potentially stuff that I would have done myself. And yeah, I mean, hopefully that answers the question.
No, that answers it actually extremely well. As content creators, you can be your number one critic. And I think earlier you said, don't focus on the numbers, because that can definitely play, a lot into, mental roadblocks and things like that. Because it's almost with content creation being on the forefront, and it's all you. You're your own CEO. You're your own everything. You're your own creator. Everything can kind of be taken personally, so it definitely makes sense that, mental roadblocks can easily 100% be the number one roadblock for, I think, a lot of creators out there.
Yeah, it's still something that even I struggle with today. Like, I still have mental roadblocks that I place down on myself. And ultimately, I think a good way to just go about it is acknowledge that, yes, it's not easy. It sucks. The grind sucks. I see so many affiliates that they continue to grind, and they continue to push for partnership, and partners try to achieve their goals and try to go for sponsors and everything. And it is not easy. It sucks. You will face rejection. You will face times where you feel like you're not good enough, but it's important to just face it head on and acknowledge it and move forward, because ultimately I think that's all you can do.
And ultimately that shapes you as a broadcaster, a content creator, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, even Mixer, anything. It really helps develop personalities, and that's really what you need to have is, strong personality. And I'm sure a lot of people, listening to the podcast can be inspired and love what you do. Are you planning on heading to any events soon where people can come and meet you?
Yeah. One thing I really am finding myself enjoying, I already forgot if I mentioned this earlier. I really love traveling to conventions. I'm finding myself traveling out alone for a weekend to an event, and it's just exciting. It's a lot of fun. It's especially more challenging to manage it with schooling, because I have to step away from it for a little bit and try to manage my schedule so that it's not as big of a consequence for me. But yeah, I've been to all kinds of events, and I've recently started getting more press passes and media passes, which it's just kind of beyond me, the fact that I could even apply for that kind of stuff and have those opportunities. I'm really grateful for it. And I'm continuing to get more opportunities, and there are conventions that and events that I will be going to coming up in pretty much less than a month from now is QuakeCon, where Bethesda is doing a bunch of like, they do the biggest like BYOC in North America, I think it is, and definitely the biggest I've seen. And they're doing a bunch of Doom Eternal stuff, and it's going to be a good time. And I know I already have some viewers that are excited to meet me there, so I'll be at QuakeCon. Right after that, I'm hopping on a plane to Pittsburgh to go to the ReplayFX Arcade and Gaming Festival. And at that event, the reason I'm going there is because ToonTown actually hosts like a event in person, like a real life celebration of the community, where players, developers, staff, fans alike, they all just meet up at a convention and host a really big event throughout the weekend. So it's a 4-day event, and I'll be in Pittsburgh early August 1st to 4th. And I'll be celebrating with our community there. And that's where I meet a lot of my community members. So I'm really excited. Like for me, like even though I really enjoy going to like big name conventions, I feel like the localized convention is honestly the highlight of the year for me. It's kind of weird because like you have your Twitch cons and your PAXs and your E3s, but I don't know, that little event is just so exciting for me. And it's in just over a month, and I'm really excited. Beyond that, I'm still working out, potentially going to PAX West. I did go to PAX South in January, and I loved it. So I definitely want to go to PAX West. So that's kind of on the radar, not sure yet. And then I will be at TwitchCon in San Diego for a couple days. I can't stay the whole time because college, and that's how life works sometimes.
Yeah.
I literally have to fly in like Friday night, which is already a day of TwitchCon like gone, which is kind of sad. But I'm still gonna go, still gonna experience what I can, because it's like I went last year and it was so worth it. So and I mean, yeah, just so I've been to so many events, and like traveling is like a big thing for me. So I'm all for like going to events. I just worked at DreamHack Dallas. I was invited to stream there, and then I also worked as a crew member there because I want to like kind of, not only do I want to like keep building this brand, but I'm also trying to get my feet a little wet in the gaming industry. Because I mean, I'm in college. I'm trying to get an education to find opportunities. I would love to go full time, but I obviously know I'm a full-time student, and that's my priority right now. So, just kind of keeping my horizons like broad, I guess. Yeah. So, but yeah, I've been to lots of events. I have a lot more coming, and hopefully I can go to all kinds of awesome gaming events in the future.
Well, we look forward to seeing you, or at least I do. I know apparently I've barely missed you at so many of these events, being at PAX South and DreamHack Dallas and all these events myself. So, and even TwitchCon last year. So hopefully I run into you, and I definitely look forward to.
I'll be around. You'll probably see me wear too much Twitch merch.
There you go. Now, all of us at OPC, we always love asking this question. Besides your OPC, what's one of your favorite peripherals that you use or have used that really just makes things so much easier for you throughout all of your online content creation?
Oh man. I mean, the first thing I'm thinking about is just like how basic my setup has been from the very beginning, and how much it's kind of evolving now. You don't need like a really extensive setup to start streaming, because I started with, I had a Blue Yeti Pro microphone. I still actually, I've had it for like 6 years. I should probably get an upgrade, but I've been using that since the very beginning with like a laptop, and I streamed on a laptop for like 6 years. So
oh wow,
no one should ever have to stream on a laptop for 6 years, but I did. And that laptop took me from YouTube to starting on Twitch to being an affiliate to being a partner, the whole 9 yards. So definitely like, I've had like basic equipment. So the peripherals I have now, the OPSEAT chair behind me is very comfy, and I've really needed a gaming chair, and I'm really excited about it. So one of the other peripherals I have that has made my streaming experience a lot better. I'm actually going to answer two because they're just really
Go
nice.
for it. Yeah.
So, well, okay, three. One, the Corsair headphones that I have. It's kind of funny. I got them as a Christmas gift from my dad. But then my mom also got me the same ones, except a different color, unknowingly. So I got like two pairs of Corsair headphones. I've been a huge fan of Corsair for a long time, so I definitely want to try reaching out to them. But they have great headphones, and just a bunch of other great peripherals as well. Number two, this green screen behind me is super cool. I'm partnered with WebRound Gaming, and I know that OPC loves them as well. So
Definitely good friends of ours, WebRound Gaming is.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. I started a partnership with them back in like January, I think, and they sent me the green screen, and it's been great partnering up with them. Like, we're wrapping up like a giveaway for a free green screen right now, and it's just it's a really good green screen, attaches to the chair and everything. It's dope. And then the third peripheral I have is the Elgato Stream Deck. I also got that as a gift from my dad like a year or two ago, and it's helped me out a lot. I have like a soundboard, scene transitions. I can open up music and all this stuff just at the press of a button. It's really great. And these are peripherals I did not have, again, when I started streaming.
For 6 years, yeah.
Yeah, 6 years on a gaming laptop from like 2012 or something. I remember at first streaming on a MacBook, actually, and then getting the gaming laptop. It was like a CyberPower PC laptop, and it, like, if I try to turn it on right now, it's kind of on life support. It's just like very slow, and it's not good. But I have a iBuyPower gaming PC now, and it gets the job done. So yeah, I'm always looking to like upgrade my peripherals, but you don't need like extensive peripherals to at least start streaming. You can definitely find affordable equipment, and as long as you just have good internet, you're good to go, really. Yeah.
Couldn't say it better myself. That's absolutely fantastic. And all of us at OPC just want to say thank you for working with us at OPC and being on the podcast. And it was truly a pleasure to have you today for the video podcast. Thank you, Smirky, for all that you do for the communities and for being on the podcast.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for partnering up with us, and I'm really excited for the future of the partnership, and I'm really honored that you guys invited me onto the podcast. So I'm really thankful to you guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's greatly appreciated.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.